This is the future.
Do you know what's my first reaction when seeing the Incarnon form of the Atomos? What the heck DE? Why did you turn it into blast? I hate it when digital extremes do this thing, as this was close to being an overkill weapon if somehow it stayed with its heat nature. But there's the impact proc on its squad leader, so I guess a hemorrhage build would be good enough for an area of effect slash and bleed combo. The fact is, the Incarnon form has two damage outputs. One is the AoE, and the other is the direct hit, which is the impact proc. So, if you mod hemorrhage into the Incarnon Atomos, you will just see one guy being hit with bleed procs and not the whole crowd. Another downside of the weapon is that there's no way you can take advantage of galvanized shot in the Incarnon form as well. It's obviously AoE. The build I was using with Atomos in the past involves galvanized shot, but right now, it's not the best slot for the weapon because of the AoE mechanic on its Incarnon form. Okay, these are all the bad sides of the Atomos. Now let's proceed to the good part. To be honest with you, I was kind of hesitant adding more former on this gun at first, as I was disappointed with the blast damage and impact procs. But somehow, after giving Incarnon Atomos a try for a couple of hours, I think that the blast and impact were meant to limit the gun, as the enhancements that it got from its Incarnon form are insane. First of all, if you move down to the Incarnon form and its radial attack, you will see that the Incarnon Atomos has a massive radial attack of 7.9. This can be further improved by primed fulmination, giving you 11.38 range of explosive madness. That is like Kuva Brahma, but only a pistol. Now, there's a perk that also increases the range of the Atomos on its Evolution 3, and it is called Moonrise Velocity. It seems that this perk doesn't affect its Incarnon form's AoE, but what it does is increase the range of the beam for its normal variant. The Atomos with the Moonrise Velocity will be like the Kuva Nuka before digital extremes nerf the number of enemies hit by the Kuva weapon. The best part is, it can be upgraded for crit builds, which turns it into a better Kuva Nuka. Hell, it even put the Tenet Cycron to shame, as this Mastery Rank 5 weapon melts faster compared to these two beam weapons that are hard to farm. The Incarnon form is really a massive buff for the Atomos, and I highly suggest that you try it out. But before you do that, let me tell you about the evolutions I picked, and the two builds I'm currently using for this Incarnon gun. For the second evolution, it's really a personal choice, as most would go with the additional damage when your shield breaks, as it's easier to get. However, since most of my builds are crit oriented, I decided to go with the Paladin Virtue that increases my critical damage by 1 times. The only problematic part about this is that your max energy should be over 700, and there are only limited frames that have this insane amount of energy. One is Sarin, and it would be hard for everyone to get the critical damage bonus, so that is why it would be wise to stay with the damage perk for Evolution 2. However, if you got some Argent Shards, then the requirements for the crit damage perk would be easy. But then again, don't prioritize this first, and only focus on min-maxing the Incarnon Atomos if you have enough resources. Moving on, I pick Moonrise Velocity for obvious reasons, and I explained why earlier. And lastly, I picked the Commodore's Fortune for more critical chance. Why not status? Why not a balanced crit and status? I prefer to go all in with critical to somehow reach that sweet orange crits. I don't think it would benefit the gun with more status, as it already is a status monster. For my build, it gives you 120% plus status chance for the Incarnon form, and for the beam, it has 63%, which is enough knowing how fast the fire rate of this gun is. Okay, so here's the first build, and this is for general use and only if you will not use the Incarnon form of the gun. Don't get me wrong, the Incarnon form can also be great, but when it comes to pure or heat damage, the beam variant just melts like crazy. Also, don't ever think that the Incarnon form doesn't deal decent damage on its Incarnon form. This can deal decent damage in Steel Path levels, especially with the Acolytes. But I still prefer the second build option that I will be showing you, as it completely wipes out enemies in one shot. For now, let me show you what this pure fire and viral build can do against Steel Path levels. But wait, did you know that Beam Incarnon Atomos can be an endless orange crit of heat and viral damage? If you put Arcane Pistol Ear in your Warframe slot, then you will gain infinite ammunition for a couple of seconds after a headshot kill. Now that is quite easy, knowing that Atomos is a beam weapon. Lastly, Arcane Velocity will further improve the DPS. Okay, now here's how powerful it is. As you have seen, even Overguard has no match for the heat Incarnon Atomos. For the second build we will need a specific setup for this, and we will be modding our Atomos with gas for that insane nuking power. We all know that gas scales well when used against enemies that have no armor, so, in this specific setup, an armor stripping, or preferably a defense stripping ability is required. There are lots of abilities like that in the Helminth system, or you can just use a group Helminth ability like Ensnare, or even use the Magus Anomaly, and then remove the armor and shield of enemies using your Unira Focus. Here's a quick demo on how a gas build in Incarnon Atomos works. Truly, Incarnon Atomos is a massive upgrade for the weapon. Its upgrades may not be appealing to the eye at first, because of the blast and impact stats, but once you fully min-max the beam pistol, and turned it into a hand cannon, you will see the massive improvement of the weapon. It just put to shame all those weapons that are only obtained through farming Kuva Leeches and Sisters of Parvos. And it's a really powerful weapon right now for a Mastery Rank 5 weapon. Nobody will be saying that Atomos is trash after this upgrade. Well, no one is saying this. Only those fools who think that all guns that don't deal / are trash. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.